Show us the hook. Give us the hook. I'm like, can't you just see it? It's like right there. Also, why would they want to be
big ass deal about that hook?
Why would they want to be given the hook? Like when he's got the hook and he would fucking kill them. What the hell does that mean?
Good point.
Show us the hook. Kill us.
Bob Hoskins could have been a better Peter Pan.
Yeah.
Seriously.
They should have, that part where, like, that kid rolls down the thing, that should have been Bob Hoskins. He's just like a hedgehog and he's so hairy. We've got the Granny Wendy Memorial Museum. I'm like, why would they dedicate a museum and just call her Granny Wendy? They wouldn't use her full name. Like,
that's a great point, dude. I
thought that was weird. I'm in the darkest
nice lighting.
shadows here. Okay, so this is the 75th episode. Did you think we'd ever make it to 75 episodes?
Nope.
Well, here we are.
Wow.
And in color. This week we're talking about Hook and the Karate Kid animated series.
Can't wait.
I know, right? So there was no taglines for the Karate Kid animated series, shockingly. I guess there was no, what is it, like, promotion for that, really? Because usually you have taglines for some, not really cartoons, I guess, but...
So you'd heard of this before, right?
Like the animated series? Yeah.
Huh.
I'd never actually watched it, but I'd heard of it.
I never had.
Yeah? I'm glad
until
you
recently.
did. So we could definitely talk about it on here.
Yeah.
But Hook did have taglines, and they're two fairly inspired taglines. One
kind of
is
like the movie.
"To live would be an awfully big adventure," which doesn't make sense at all, really, because in the movie, Hook says like to die is like his actual next adventure, so that makes no sense. And then the other one is just a question: what if Peter Pan grew up? It's like, okay,
Yeah, that's the decent tagline.
It is, but it's more so just like, I don't know. Usually taglines,
It's not like clever.
Yeah, usually taglines are like, like they have sayings or like one-liners and stuff. That's more of, I guess, it is like an intriguing thing.
Yeah.
It's better than the other one where it's like, living is an adventure. It's like,
I don't even get what that really means.
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe they're alluding to how, like, I don't know, Robin Williams is a workaholic in the movie, but that still doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But I guess before we get too far into talking about any of that crap, are you ready to go into nerd news?
Yeah. Sorry, that reminded me of, I heard a really cool tagline recently, but I was trying to look up what it was, but I couldn't remember, so sorry. To offset the crappy taglines from Hook. Okay. It's time for nerd news.
Yeah. So,
right.
Do you have any news?
Yeah, so I guess I'll go first because I have some news that's both like refreshing, but also like disturbing at the same time. So this has to do with one of our favorite franchises, 007.
It's like Elder Scrolls style. It's refreshing. It's like, I like that. Stop it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what? Did you hear about this? You hear about this? So they interviewed Barbara Broccoli about like what's next for Bond.
What's next? Does she have like the reins or something?
Yeah. And she said, nobody's in the running. We're working out where to go with him. We're talking that through. There isn't a script. And we can't come up with one until we decide how we're going to approach the next film because really, it's a reinvention of Bond. We're reinventing who he is, and that takes time. Filming is at least 2 years away. So basically, it's refreshing that there's like honesty there. Unlike Star Wars, where they just say a bunch of BS and then they release like a horrible product. Yeah. But at the same time, like the last Bond movie was done like 3 years ago. Yeah. And they have nothing. Yeah. Like they barely haven't thought about it. Like what are they doing?
It was done 3 years ago, essentially, because COVID hit. And
it delayed it like 2 years. So for all this time, they
Yeah. It's pretty sad and that like you can't come up with anything. And we've talked about Bond. We've done one Bond episode, and it's only because it was the newest one. And we've talked about the character off and on here and there, but it's
don't forget James Bond Jr.
But we could come up with something in like 5 seconds. But like they can't get like a team of people. I think the thing is like they're too scared to pull the trigger on anything.
And that's fine. Take your time until you come up with a good idea. Like I'm fine with taking a long time if it
2 years
means a good product.
That's fucking stupid, dude.
They should have taken at least 3 years for Star Wars between Star Wars movies.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't mean they wouldn't at least have an idea.
That's true. That's the disturbing part.
Right. That's why I'm like, ideas don't take any time to come up with. It's the execution that's the important part.
Yep.
Like, they used to crank them out back in the day, and they were like, most of them were classics, and now it's like they can't come up with shit. It's like,
maybe because, spoiler alert, he's dead. It's just like filming his grave for 2 hours.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean shit. Like, it's like,
well, we came up with the best
idea. Are you happy now that asshole's dead?
We came up with the best idea, just make him an alien.
Yeah. We were not smoking anything, shockingly. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's the thing is if I was given any sort of money to think about it, I could come up with like half a dozen ideas pretty quickly within a week. We could brainstorm a bunch of shit within a week.
Yeah.
But what they mean is that like they haven't even started to try.
Right.
And it's like because they're so scared that they're going to fuck it up, and it's like dude, you've already done that plenty of times. I think every Bond actor has at least one that's kind of shit. So it's like, it's happened before. It's not the end of the world, dude. Just, not that I'm saying rush it in like you were saying, but like, start coming up with ideas.
That's why I thought that was worth talking about.
Not even good Lord, 2 years. Well, they say it's like from filming 2 years away.
We're at least 2 years away from film.
Which, like, how would you know when you're ready to film? You would be ready to film when you got the idea. It's not... I think the problem is they treat, like, Bond like such a big production. And it is, because they go all over the place. But, like... having a script, once you have that's, like, the hardest part. I don't know. Yeah. It was a good idea to talk about it, though, because I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, so apparently it's going to be a while till we see the next Bond.
Is she like the heir to the name? Did she get the franchise from her Uncle James? Heir to the name. It's like, what?
From her daddy.
From
Cubby.
her tip.
Cubby Broccoli.
Cubby. It's like, Jesus.
What nerd news do you have?
So I've got a couple things. John Williams, he says at 90 years old, he's finally decided to step away from composing.
Should have stepped away after Hook. Kidding. I'm totally kidding.
I was like,
we'll get to that.
At the moment, I'm working on Indiana Jones 5, which Harrison Ford, who's quite a bit younger than I am, debatable.
Not that much younger.
Yeah, I think as announced will be his last film.
What? Well, as Indiana Jones.
So I thought, if Harrison can do it, then perhaps I can also. I don't want to be seen as categorically eliminating any activity. I can't play tennis, but I like to be able to believe that maybe one day I will. At 90!
Go for it, John.
Yeah.
Johnny boy.
He'll be the next Andre Agassi.
He's like...
Yeah. He's like...
I'm glad he's still around.
Yeah, yeah. I mean...
His scores for the sequel trilogy were pretty lackluster, but...
I mean, they're still better than anything that most other composers have ever done.
I agree.
I'm trying to think, like, the big people that I think of when I think of composers for movies that do a shit ton of them, it's like Danny Elfman, him...
Jerry Goldsmith, who we failed to talk about, who did the Rambo score, which was awesome.
Yeah.
And all the Star Trek stuff.
Yeah. But, I don't know, I'm trying to think of other people that... I mean, I know that there's people out there, but, like, they're the big names. I mean, a lot of people... And I guess you could also say when you listen to this stuff, a lot of things you kind of hear very similar. But if you've been doing movies for so long, and so many of them, it's hard to kind of have different sounds for everything.
Yep.
I guess they're moving forward with the Furiosa movie.
Yeah, I heard about that.
So, yeah, I don't know.
That's really cool. Speaking of old dudes who are still directing, George Miller's pretty old at this point, but he's making kick-ass action movies, so bring it on.
Yeah. I guess Wesley Snipes.
The Witch is Furiosa now.
The Witch?
Yeah, the actress who played the Witch in the movie The Witch. The girl, what's her name?
Oh, the young one or whatever.
I guess it's a prequel.
Yeah, okay. I had the synopsis here, but I didn't even read it. I just copied and pasted it, and it was just like, fuck it. I don't really care. I liked Mad Max and stuff. I honestly am kind of surprised after how well received that was by fans and critics that they didn't just go straight into production on a new one, honestly, because
I think the last one took them so long to get made.
Yeah.
Because they were trying to get it made for
forever,
20 years.
Yeah. It's kind of like Alien versus Predator. They were trying to do that.
So whoever wins, we lose.
Yeah. Ever since Aliens and the Alien movies and the Predators became a thing, people have been like, oh, let's do an Alien versus Predator movie, and they had comics, they had video games and stuff, but they finally made one, and it was like shit.
Because then they made a sequel to it, and it was way worse somehow.
Well, it's like they did the same thing that they're doing with the Bond film. They're just waiting so long. They're like, oh, they're scared. It's like they were so scared for it to be good that it just ended up being pure dog shit. So Wesley Snipes, I guess after Blade 3, he wanted to make more Blades, and I guess he wrote 2 scripts at one point, and cool. I thought it was just funny thinking about that because Wesley Snipes, I liked the first Blade. I thought it was pretty good. I never saw the third one, and I think I remember seeing the second one, but
I can't believe you didn't see the third one because it had all those wrestlers in it.
Yeah, Triple H was in it. I think by that point I was just kind of done because they kind of kept getting worse and worse.
It wasn't good, but I remember that was the first time I noticed Ryan Reynolds. In
yeah,
I was like, dude, this guy's hilarious. Yeah. And then he just did the same thing in every movie.
Well, he disappeared. He really wasn't in anything big. It was that was supposed to be his breakout role, and he kind of had the thing where he was kind of would break out and then he would go underground again and break out again, but it would be second man kind of shit. And then eventually, just randomly recently, he's become an international superstar.
Yeah.
Which is I guess it's good that it happened for him because some people it's they become cult icons like Bruce Campbell, but never be.
Yeah.
But
never forget about Van Wilder 2, The Rise of Taj.
Which he wasn't in.
Yeah, that's right. I never saw that.
But
we watched the first one. Remember?
Yeah.
That's a good movie.
But I do remember he was in that Two Guys, a Girl in a Pizza Place, I think. And then for some reason they changed the name to Two Guys, a Girl. And then they changed the time of it. Because I remember, like you were saying, he was the one that was holy shit, this guy's pretty funny. Where'd this guy come from? But then he just kept going out of nowhere. Oh, that's funny. I actually have this as one of my things for the Bond thing, so you already talked about that.
So you did hear about this.
But I didn't. I heard about it, but I heard about it by just copying and pasting and not reading it. I haven't actually. Usually when I do these, I don't read them. I just find what I find is interesting and then put it in here, and then we talk about it once we get in here. What?
That's interesting. Interesting approach.
Well, that way I can react to it live, because sometimes I'll get here and I'll be like, that doesn't seem as interesting as I once thought it was.
Nice reaction.
It's true. Stephen King said, I walked out of only one movie as an adult, Transformers. Would like to know what other movies people have walked out on. This is a tweet I guess he did. I guess I didn't get anybody's comments here because I didn't give a fuck what people on Twitter said. But I guess my question is, have you ever walked out of a movie in theaters? If not, what movie did you hate so much you were thinking about it?
Yeah, good talk.
That's music.
So, Hook we'll get in. I have a story about.
I've actually never saw this in theaters. So.
We'll wait for.
I've never seen it in theaters.
You haven't?
Well, let's get the.
I saw it in theaters yesterday.
You snuck in and you were just like.
I've never walked out of a movie. We rented The Witches on VHS back in the day. Remember that movie?
Oh, the one, where they pretended to be like regular people. Yeah,
and we were little kids, and like me and my sister
were
were like,
like
"This
horrified?
is too scary," and we like made my parents stop it.
Dude, when they turn into like the effects in that movie, when they turn into the witches, it's like,
yeah, it was horrifying, especially for a little kid.
Yeah.
But the only other relevant movie is me and Ben went and saw Freddy Got Fingered when it came out, and on the opening night, and everyone in the theater walked out by the time it was over.
South Park movie, I saw that in theaters, and people were walking out of that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, at the beginning. Cause...
Have you ever walked out?
No, I've never walked out of a movie because it's like, I go with people, so unless like we all, like if me and you went to a theater and we both were like, fuck this, let's get out of here, but at the same time I already paid money. Mm-hmm. I was close with The Last Jedi within the first couple minutes to being like, fuck this.
I think League of Extraordinary Gentlemen we could have walked out of. That was so bad.
Yeah, I don't think really anybody was in there either. It was just kind of like no one gave a shit, like on screen or in the theater. Mm-hmm. So we were just watching it, and I was like, well, I'm already like in for this long. I don't know. It's funny because like there are movies, I don't think I've ever gone to a theater and been so pissed off that I was like, I'm going to leave. But I've been, like with Star Wars, like The Last Jedi was so, I think like going from like Star Wars is back with The Force Unleashed to, or Force Awakens to that, I was like, this is not what I was expecting at all. And, within the
movie shows you its ass within the first 5 minutes, you know it's gonna suck.
Yeah, I was like, but yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think if there's any other films that I've been really upset at, enough to walk out.
I mean, even when we saw a horrible movie like Vertical Limit, we were like having fun laughing at it.
That was the thing that I thought of, but at the same time, it was just so stupid. It's. I used to say it was like the worst film I've ever seen, but I've seen way worse films than that now. Yeah. Because that movie was at least like stupid and funny. Mm-hmm. Like a movie, like even like the worst film that I've reviewed on this podcast is still not the worst film I've seen, like by far. Like a lot of the worst films I've seen are like movies we would rent from Blockbuster that were like straight to VHS shits, and they're just boring. It's like a horror movie we used to rent, and it's like, this isn't even like fun to like laugh at. It's just boring. So yeah, I guess if anybody out there wants to put a movie in theaters that's boring, I'll walk out of it. But even then, I'll probably be too lazy.
Steven Spielberg already did it with Hook.
Well, I'd still, that's still not the worst film ever for sure. And it's really, it's just long. Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, that also takes like a lot of like, that's almost like you're putting on a show.
Yep.
Like at that point, like, I don't know, when people say that, it's like, that's kind of pretentious in my book. Like when you're like, I walked out of a film, it's like, dude,
yeah, you're right. A lot of times it is to like show off
because like no one gives a fuck about you. So you're like, look at me, I'm walking out of a film. It's like no one cares. So I think the last thing is this the last thing?
Yeah, lots of nerd news.
This one's a funny thing about Arnold Schwarzenegger talking about something that happened to him when he was working on Predator. So he said, "When you're in Mexico, you eat the wrong thing, and inevitably the shit hits the fan." So I went on an early morning run, and all of a sudden I started throwing up. So I tried to be ballsy, wiped my mouth, and continued on running. But then all of a sudden, it came out the other side. So I had to quickly run to the side of the road and pull down my pants. I tell you, I was in big trouble that day. So it was not 5 miles that day. It was much, much less.
I was in big trouble. Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah. Like, Arnold just gets better as he ages. It's like these... It's like, that's the thing, is like him and... It's like as I get older, it seems like him and Stallone they're fine with making fun of themselves. And it's like,
That reminds me, there's a hilarious outtake from Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah.
Where he's being chased by these dogs, and they actually
they like fuck him
actually
up.
got him and like attacked him, and the trainers pulled him off.
And he's like, oh shit.
At the very end, he's like, God damn it. So funny. He was probably saying the same thing while he was having horrible Montezuma's revenge.
His freaking pants. Dude, that's so out of control.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Happens to the best of us.
Yeah. So, do you have any recommendations this week? Your buddy tales?
Nope.
You're like... You're like...
Do you?
No. I don't have a thing for this segment, but we did talk about this last week. Do you want to go ahead and do our top 5 female artists?
Oh, yeah. I totally messed up since we were doing our female-centric episode on Bound.
So last week, Matt had this idea, and he was like, come up with like top 5 female artists.
Yeah.
And we were supposed to do it last week, but we
usually talk about dude stuff. But...
Yeah, we completely forgot about it, and kind of fucked up. But yeah.
Yeah.
That was also my bad because I had it on here, and then we like jumped around so much that I completely forgot about it. So
yeah, and there's so many that I enjoy, but these are like some of my current favorites. So I'm not saying these are the best ever, but like some of my current favorite female artists.
I also
top 5.
Top 5. Top 5 female artists from the Buddy Shots. So do you want to do this like you do your list all the way through and then I do mine all the way through?
We want to go back and forth
like we did for the candies.
Yeah. This is in no particular order. At least I don't know if yours are in order, but
yeah, I mean mine kind of are, but they're kind of not. I mean, like once you get in the top 5, it's all the same.
All right,
I'm like it's all the same.
You're like it all sucks.
They're just women. They're all the same.
So this is a band that I discovered during the pandemic,
and
I was like, man, where has this been all my life? Because it's from the 1980s, Missing Persons.
Yes.
Which Dale Bozio is like the front man or front woman in this case. And she's amazing and very unique. And also Terry Bozio is her husband and was the drummer, and he's one of my favorite drummers. So Missing Persons rules. It's like totally 80s, lots of synthesizer.
Yeah.
And Dale Bozio is awesome.
Number 5.
There you go.
He gave it. My number 5 is pretty generic. Cyndi Lauper. I've always been a fan of her. And
ever since the Goonies?
I don't know if that's when I first... That was might have been the first
Wasn't
song
the
I
thing
heard
with her and Lou Albano or something?
Yeah,
There's
she
a
was...
music video?
Yeah, she was a big, like, little... Well, I mean, that was the whole, like, rock and wrestling connection where it's, like, they started bringing in, like, rock stars and stuff. Was, like, instrumental with Lou Albano and her, being friends and stuff, so it kind of, like...
Yeah. It's a good pick.
Yeah.
Cyndi Lauper.
Yeah, Cyndi Lauper, up and comer.
Yeah.
Number 4.
Number 4. This is a band. The new season of Twin Peaks that came out a few years ago. A really cool thing about that show is in every episode, it would like stop dead for a band to play a full song.
That's legit.
Which was awesome because they had like 9 Inch Nails and like some really cool bands. But there's one I've never heard of called Au Revoir Simone, which is like 3. I sent you the video. But it's like 3 female front women, and they're all playing keyboards. And it's a very cool sound.
Yeah.
And their voices like blend very well with each other. So cool.
Very
band.
nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 4 for me. I feel kind of bad because it doesn't matter who it is because I'm able to say whatever the hell I want. I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I want. Alicia Whitaker of Spunkadelic fame.
Dude.
9.95.
Hell yeah. Nice pick.
I had to do some research on these because, I mean, even though I feel bad because I didn't really know some of these people's names until now, but, like, these are, I think for me, it was more so about finding music and songs that I really liked. So I had to kind of, like, look that up. So,
that's sweet.
But, yeah. That was my number 4.
Spunkadelic, a super popular band.
Yeah!
Check them out.
I think that's, like, their one hit.
Yeah. Number 3, Sheila E.
I
think she's most famous for being like the touring drummer for Prince.
Okay,
but she's like a good solo artist in her own right. She's
Right.
played with tons of different people, and she's an excellent drummer and is just really cool. I love Sheila E.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. My number 3 is off the Day of the Dead soundtrack, both If Tomorrow Comes and The World Inside Your Eyes, performed by Modern Man, which has half of the vocals is by Delilah. And she's like, well, obviously she's like the female vocalist on that. There's also like Sputzy Sparacino, I think, or Sputzy, yeah. But yeah, it's like a duo, and they sing both those songs or whatever. It's like in the credits and stuff.
Dude, so that's a great.
I've always been a huge fan of like, ever since I saw the credits for the first time, I've always been like, dude, this is pretty legit.
I love those songs.
It's such a contradicting thing to the rest of the film,
yep.
So that's why I think it stuck out to me, and not like in a stupid way where like something horrifying is happening and they're playing like Buttercup. Yeah, right. It's like, dude, okay, that takes zero effort,
right? But it somehow works. Yeah, that's a great.
But it does not work. Okay, number 2, The Regrets. Nice. No regrets.
I don't know how I discovered this band, but they're like actually relatively new.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a young all-girl band except for the drummer. They're kind of like pop and like punk a little bit.
Nice.
But very cool. And they just released a new album this year that's like a step up from their other albums. So
nice.
I think they're going places.
I like it. I like this.
I'm a sucker for a good all-girl band.
Yeah. It's definitely legit. For me, number 2, this is getting more into like just long-term fanage. Liz Enthusiasm from Freeze Pop.
Nice.
Yeah. So
great pick.
Man, it's like 2000s.
I didn't know that was her name.
Yeah. 2000s. She's an OG member. And they brought on like 2 more people once one of the people stepped down. So now it's like a 4-person band, but she's always been like the lead vocalist for a lot of the stuff. Yeah, big fan of Freeze Pop.
Cool. That's a great pick.
It's weird because we were talking about how like, there's Science Genius Girl, but it's definitely not our favorite out of theirs. But it's probably the most popular for sure. Before we go on to number 1, I have some honorable mentions. Do you have any?
No, but I could do another 10
20.
lists.
So
50.
Yeah, it's like Jesus.
Yeah, there's so many.
That's true. So I've got these are just honorable mentions like throughout my life that I've that I had to culminate, and they could have easily been on this list as well, but maybe not specifically now, maybe back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
But like Kim Sasabone from Venga Boys, Judith Anna Pronk from Alice DJ. She was like the main singer there. Amy Lee from Evanescence.
Yeah.
And then I have to give a shout out to Shirley Bassey for all Goldfinger, Moonraker, and Diamonds Are Forever.
Yeah. She's
been like, I think like they call her dame, so I think she's been knighted or whatever. Is that what they call it for women?
I think so.
Or okay.
I think so.
So because I think for knights it's sir or dame, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the queen is a fan, and as am I. So do you have any other ones that weren't on this? Well, that you thought of, or
no?
Okay, but like you said, I mean, you probably could come up with a shit ton more.
Yeah,
I'm like, and we will wait. you're like, the next list is 2 years away from filming.
Yeah,
I'm like, kill me. So number 1,
I have to go with the GOAT, Whitney.
Hell yeah, dude.
Houston.
She almost.
The best ever.
I should have put her on this list, but I just. What's funny is if I went through all the James Bond themes, like for most of them, I probably could have put a whole list together just from that. Because not that that's the only thing they're known for, but once you do a Bond
License
song,
to Kill, Gladys Knight.
Yeah, your life will be forever changed for the better, maybe.
But my life was changed when she did the Star Spangled Banner for the Super Bowl that one year.
Yeah,
which was the best. It's never been topped in my opinion. It's
because she can actually sing, and she's not covering it up with like bullshit.
And apparently she didn't even rehearse that. She just like went out and nailed it.
Yeah, because
dude.
Well, it's one of those things where if you know the song, most people know it by heart. Like, well, not most people, like a lot of people, like, and you can sing, then, you know, you don't have to put a bunch of extra bullshit on it because you're talented.
I actually found, I was searching on YouTube and like, so that was in 1991, I think, when she did that. And I actually found someone filmed a reaction video in 1991 of like these three dudes who are watching the Super Bowl and losing their mind as she's singing, like, oh! They're like jumping on each other's backs and like high-fiving. And it's like, this is so amazing. And like, I feel the same way.
They're like, this is definitely 1999. They're jumping on each other's backs.
Yeah.
They're all three on one guy. Or not one three.
A big trench coat.
If it's three guys, how would three people be on one guy? That wouldn't make any sense. Well, I guess unless there was a mystical form. So, I guess my number one is, it's kind of weird because Gorillaz definitely is like probably my favorite band. And Noodle is one of the band members. She's the only female band member. But the weird thing about this is like there's been multiple singers and speaking people.
Interesting.
So from speaking from 2000 to 2010 and 2017 is Haruka Kuroda. I'm gonna fuck this up probably. And then speaking from 2018 to present is Haruka Abe or Abe, I don't know. And then singing Miho Hattori at 2001, and then on Dare was Roses Gabor. So they've had like quite a few different people involved. But nonetheless, I guess I just gave a little bit extra because those are multiple people.
Nice.
So
That's a great list.
Those are my favorites. And I fucked up because we weren't ever on Nerd News. Wait, this isn't Nerd News. That's why I didn't fuck up. I fucked up thinking I fucked up. And in fact, I didn't. So are you ready for Weird Watches? It appeared just out of the air.
Just there in the air.
Just there in the air. I don't want people giving me these weird watches and pissing me off, lying to me and shit. So I guess before I even say anything about this, how did you hear about this? Were you just like looking for stuff for weird watches? Or?
Yeah, I think I was. I don't even know, but I somehow stumbled across it and I was like, I bet Mike's never heard of this one. Like, nope.
Well, I had, but it like I had never seen anything about it. I think I just heard about it and was like, what? Because I think it was how I heard about it is I was, you know how you get on those binges where you're like watching like intros for stuff, like old shows or whatever, and that came up and I was like, what? I've never heard of this before. That was years ago and I never watched an episode, but Weird Watches changed that. But so what is Karate Kid the animated series? Well, I'm glad you asked. It's a 1989 American children's television program, or animated series, which debuted on NBC's Saturday morning lineup, and it starred Joey DiDio, Robert Ito, and Janice Kauai. It's based on the Karate Kid series of films, loosely, and was produced by Deke Enterprises, Saban Entertainment, and Columbia Pictures Entertainment. So, what's this about, Matt?
The further adventures of Daniel-san and Mr. Miyagi.
And Miyagi.
Apparently having way more spectacular adventures than what happened in the movie.
Yeah. So, like, I guess the official synopsis for this is, which is funny because, once again, there was no actual pilot episode explaining what the fuck this was about. It's shown kind of in the intro, but they don't narrate anything, so it's just so apparently somebody got this out of it, but I guess it makes sense. But staying in Okinawa for a bit after Chosen's defeat, Mr. Miyagi and Daniel LaRusso are alerted by the temple girl Taki to the theft of a small magic Chinese shrine talisman by persons unknown. Together, the trio pursue the shrine around the world to return it to its rightful place. However, that quest will not be as easy as numerous villains are determined to exploit the shrine for their own ends. Yeah. My question is, this first episode we watched, I'm assuming it was the same one as the Jungle one, right? Is that
I called it Jungle Antics.
Yeah. In this first episode, like, there's no, like, the shrine is just randomly in the jungle. There's no mention of this, like, thief. So I don't know what the fuck this is about. Doesn't matter. It's a kid's show.
Yeah.
So, I couldn't find... Apparently, when these first aired, there were, like, live action segments with Pat Morita that would, like, he would talk about stuff, kind of like how at the, you know, like, have you ever heard of the Jackie Chan Adventure show? Like, the cartoon?
Mm.
Yeah, it was, like, voiced by his, like, cousin or whatever. But, like, at the end, he would do live action segments where he would, like, answer kids' questions.
That's cool.
It was like that, but, like, you know, he would explain what the episode was going to be about. I mean, not that it fucking would do any good. This shit was all over the place. But sadly, I couldn't find that. I'm assuming maybe if you bought the physical version, but I don't know. I don't even know if it's available. I didn't even look. I was like,
I would be
this.
surprised.
I'm looking on YouTube.
So what'd you think?
I think if I was like a kid and young, like if I was a kid and younger, if I was like a kid, it's like a bunch of these other ones. If I was a kid, like I would have loved this.
Yeah, to me it was the same thing as like James Bond Jr. and stuff, and didn't like it looked the style was very similar to that. And like
I think it's because it's Deke, because it's like they did all that same shit. It's like Turtles, you know, this and
they all kind of blend together.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned the Turtles because there were a lot of people from the Turtles that voiced characters in this. We had one of the main bad jungle guys is voiced by Shredder, Phil from Uncle Phil from what's it called, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And then Jim Cummings also voices one of the guys in the first episode here. The guy that voices Darkwing Duck and Leatherhead, which, you know, he's also on Turtles. Because he's the I think like the main bad guy that's doing some weird Cajun accent, even though he's in the jungle. And then we've got like the kid who's voiced by Leonardo from the Turtles. He's like, no.
Yeah, I liked it too. My problem with it was when I saw the opening intro, like my jaw was on the floor because like there's a part where was it Mr. Miyagi's hanging from a helicopter and he grabs Daniel-san and like a torpedo like blows up a submarine, and I was like, dude, this is gonna be awesome.
Mr. Miyagi is like the only one that does anything in this show. He's like their Gandalf. He like saves them all the time. He fucking wrestles an alligator and like ties it up.
But this episode was very lackluster, like compared to that intro. I was like, I'm gonna see so much amazing stuff, and it's just like
I'm assuming
he messing around the jungle.
Parts from other episodes, and that might have even been animated for the intro. Like, but at the beginning of this episode, we got Mr. Miyagi teaching Daniel how to row a boat down whitewater rapids, and he like they fuck up or bail, but it wasn't like something that could have been avoided. So I don't think he never like yelled at him and was like, you fucked up, Daniel, but it was like, I thought that was kind of weird.
Yeah. There were a lot of things about this that were kind of weird.
Let's see here. So Shredder says he taunts Mr. Miyagi and calls him an old man. So I was getting some Splinter Shredder vibes here.
Mm-hmm.
So who would win in a fight, Shredder or Miyagi? Probably Miyagi. They would put him over because they put Splinter over, and I think he's even older, and he's a fucking rat. So
that's true.
He's a fucking rat. Get him a trap.
Doesn't he have a cane?
Yeah, he's got like a fucking cane that he like.
Yeah. Mr. Miyagi doesn't need a cane.
He doesn't need a cane. He doesn't need shit.
Apparently not.
Kid's name is Kala. He lives in a tree. 2 random vines attached to nothing. Yeah, we've got a lot of that where people are swinging around on shit that's attached to nothing. It's like Spider-Man. He's like attached to the air.
Yeah.
This line. How'd you feel about like the excessive use of broken English from Miyagi, even though in the movies it wasn't really that bad?
Yeah,
He's
it wasn't
like,
very good.
Where I come from, man, innocent till proven guilty. Like, they tied his ass up and we're just gonna kill him. Here, if you survive, you're innocent. Look up at ants chewing rope. This not jury of my peers. I'm like, what? Yeah, he beats the shit out of everything he comes across. Like, there's a lot of stuff. I don't know what the hell happened here, but like Miyagi pulls the shrine out of the bag and everybody flips out. Like, holy shit, we finally found it. And then the kid says, no, it's mine. And Miyagi says, Kala, power dangerous, not yours. And then Kala says, okay, I don't need it. And I'm like, what?
Do you think with these like shows that are all very like made by maybe the same company or whatever, like there was probably a Turtles episode that was exactly like this.
Yeah.
There was probably a James Bond Jr.
Yeah,
episode.
all this stuff was done over.
Like they could probably reuse the same like backgrounds and
a different
like,
country,
stories
like
and stuff.
China or something. I'm sure. And
it's just very similar.
Yeah, and it's like,
like this is the Jungle Antics episode.
Yeah. Miyagi was like he kicked down a fucking tree to make like a boat.
Yeah, I thought that didn't seem very Mr. Miyagi like killing a tree with his
just
fists of fury.
He's so powerful he can kick down a tree. It's like, hey. Okay, Kreese has no fucking chance. If you thought he did before,
he could break through all those blocks of ice.
He could kick through a tree. For fuck's sake,
it's possible.
Daniel was on his knees saying, "Where is Mr. Miyagi when you need him?" And then he just jumps out of the trees and says boo, and the guys run away. So Daniel, like Obi-Wan Kenobi freaking show, runs into a stick for no reason through the woods.
Less said about that, the better.
Yeah. So this part was kind of this is all like, kid stuff. Obviously we're analyzing a show that wasn't made for anybody with a brain. So Daniel tells like the kid that he'll switch places with him and fight like the main villager, like the chief, and once he beats him they'll switch places because they're both wearing a mask. But I'm like, it's kind of a problem because like
nice teachings.
Daniel's white and the other guy's not, and they're not completely covered. So the only thing that's covered is their fucking faces. And the villagers don't seem to notice. They're like, oh, Kala's gonna fight. And I'm like, how did you even know it was him? He's wearing a mask. It could be anybody.
Yeah. Also, at this point, don't you think Miyagi would be sick of fighting Daniel's battles? Like, how like, enough's enough.
The funny thing is, like, in the movies, he's like, doesn't want to fight at all. And he's like, the only reason he even gets involved in the first movie is because
Daniel's gonna get beaten to death.
Yeah, he finds out that like Kreese is an insane person, and like it's not the students that are the problem. It's like they're being led by like this maniacal, insane person, and like and that's pretty much how it is through all the movies. Like he stays pretty consistent with like he doesn't even want to train him in the third film, and that's why Terry Silver comes in, but like. In this, it's like, he's like,
step back,
fucking Gandalf style with the hobbits. He's like saving them every 5 seconds. It's like, okay, why did he teach you karate if he was just going to be like all powerful? He's like Yoda over here, like jumps in and beats the fuck out of Dooku. I just have a line that says Miyagi beats ass. And that can just describe this entire...
There you have it.
What'd you think about like the main guy transforming into a jaguar for some reason?
He became a manimal.
Yeah, I was like,
alright, I guess magic exists in this.
I was kind of cracking up when Miyagi says, now it's time to use the time-honored technique. And I was like, oh, what's this, like a new... Literally, they just like lay down and put their feet out of a bush and the dude trips over it. And I'm like, huh? Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Technique as old as time.
Yeah, laying down. Lady says, Daniel, do something. Hurry. And I'm like, he just kicks a fucking jaguar into a tree. And I'm like, what?
Yep. That happened.
They've got the jaguar man says, you're going to die. And I was like, what the fuck? That was pretty... Yeah, he's like, you're going to die. And I was like, this is fucking weird. Yeah. That was pretty inappropriate for a kid's show. I was like, huh? And then the shrine goes into the water and, of course, gets away for the next episode. So, do you have any other notes about this? Or
no.
Yeah. You probably didn't really even take any, did you? Because you were like, this is so thin.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like I said, like Pat Morita reprised his role as Mr. Miyagi before the opening through a narration, in which he explains the plot from the character's point of view. I'm like, from the character's point, was every episode like, yeah, in this episode, once again, I save everybody and I go over with my move 24/7. I'm a complete badass. On my off times, I'm a Jedi and I'm unstoppable.
Yeah, I mean, if this was like on Saturday morning cartoons when we were like 8 years old and it was like this, Turtles, James Bond Jr., I'd be like, bring it on, man. This is great.
The funny thing is, I guess it's like the show was originally planned for daily syndication with 65 episodes, but they settled on 13 episodes so it could be like on Saturday mornings in 1989. But I think this show probably would have been talked about more if it had went the other route. But I don't know if this. I mean, I could be wrong. Like with it being Karate Kid and how honestly stupid a lot of the other shows we used to watch were, and pretty like this was before like Deep Space Nine and other shows started the whole like, you know, arcs and actual like stories, instead of like you could watch them in any order unless it was like a two-parter. Like it doesn't matter because the villain ends up getting away anyway, and you know it's next kind of thing. Yeah, this was like it could have been, you know, more popular. It's just with 13 episodes, it's not really possible. It's like Bruno the Kid over here.
Nice.
Bruno the Kid. It's like, what? He's like, okay. Yeah. I don't know.
It was a weird watch.
I guess usually this is where we say we'd continue watching, or whether we will or not. So
I'll probably skip this one.
Yeah. I feel bad because actually I don't feel bad at all. I like the original stuff, and this really doesn't have anything to do with it other than the characters and their characters and
it's
it's
interchangeable with any of the other cartoon characters. Be the same thing.
Characters in name only, but not in fame only. Okay, so this is the weekly topic of feature presentation of Hook. Now this movie is on the movie. So this came out in 91, directed by Steven Spielberg and written by James Hart. And I don't know why I started laughing. And Malia Scotch Marmo. It stars Dustin Hoffman as Captain Hook, Robin Williams as Peter Banning / Peter Pan, Julia Roberts as Tinkerbell, Bob Hoskins as Mr. Smee, and Maggie Smith as Granny Wendy. It acts as a sequel to J.M. Barrie's 1911 novel. That's old. Can you believe how old that is? How 1911 till now? What? That's 100 years or more?
111.
Yeah, 111 years.
Quite old.
Of Peter Panage. Peter and Wendy, focusing on adult Peter Pan who had forgotten about his childhood and his new life. He is known as Peter Banning, a successful but unimaginative and workaholic lawyer, and a wife, Wendy's granddaughter, and 2 children. However, when Captain Hook, the enemy of his past, kidnaps his children, he returns to Neverland to save them. Along the journey, he reclaims the memories of his past and becomes a better person. So I actually wrote here, because I think we've done this in the past, but like I wanted to maybe start doing this if I remember this, but talk about like the soundtracks for all these movies. Mm-hmm. There wasn't really like a standout. There wasn't like a standout song like when MC Hammer or whoever did like he did like the Addams Family rap.
The Bad Dance.
That would have been kind of weird in this movie. They're like, we do what we want to say what we want to say. But I guess you could do that for anything. But John Williams' soundtrack definitely sounds like Harry Potter and Home Alone in this.
Yeah. So we can just talk about that since I mentioned it too. Like
I
heard Phantom Menace vibes.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But I think like I hate to criticize John Williams because he's like the best ever. Mm-hmm. But this is a dud. Like this is one of his worst or least memorable.
No, I think it's fine. I mean, I think the only one that really sticks out for sure is the well, he might not even have written this part, but like the main theme, I think is pretty popular.
Yeah, it's okay, but not one of his best.
I think it's more popular than a lot of his stuff.
Could be. I didn't enjoy it because I thought it sounded like everything reminded me of like other better scores.
Well, that's John Williams in general. Yeah. Like, I mean,
when you do so many, like
John Williams, they all kind of, not all of them, but it's like when I think Danny Elfman did Spider-Man and Batman, and I could hear a lot of like Batman when in a lot of his like Spider-Man Tobey Maguire stuff.
Totally.
And as much as I love the Tobey Maguire first two films, but like it was like, it's kind of like it's not as memorable as the Batman stuff because that came first, and I think that's probably what it is with like Hook. Is like a lot of it's just kind of like, and I think that's how it is with a lot of his other films too. It's like you hear it and you're like, obviously with like Home Alone, there's a very standout like theme to it, and I think this film has it too. It's just not. I think maybe we just weren't the people that were. What was it? What's the word? Like, when I grew up, at least, this wasn't a film that like was a cult classic for me. So, I think maybe if it was, I would probably hold the theme more to heart. I don't think it's like horrible. I just think it's kind of like not as, it's not as super iconic as like obviously like Star Wars, but not really anything is. Because he has like multiple ones on there.
So many legendary ones. Legend. So like, I hate to criticize, but I just thought that this was one of his weaker.
But we've got We Don't Want to Grow Up. We don't want to grow up. In the beginning, When You're Alone. I don't remember that. Maybe that was the fucking shitty one where the kids sung. Pick Me Up. I don't know what that one is. Take Me Out to the Ball Game. Oh, he didn't do that one. But this isn't just about John Williams. This is all I could find on the soundtrack. And then God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen, which is just a Christmas song, I guess.
Okay.
I guess if you bought the soundtrack, you were fucked. That's kind of how it was back in the day. If you wanted like songs that were in the film, you had to buy a separate soundtrack. It was so stupid. It was like, if there were like popular songs, like they had like the Dick Tracy, like two of them. One was like the ones that were in the film, and ones that were just the backing soundtrack. And it was like, just give me the whole fucking thing.
Same thing with Batman.
Yeah,
by the
I think Jurassic Park did that
and
shit
the
too.
Prince album.
Yeah. It's like, fuck off, dude.
Better times.
Wise up.
So, what's your history with this movie? You saw it when you were a kid, or
I'm like, I wrote this movie.
Whoa! Oh no, we're gonna have a problem.
Yeah, because if you don't give it a 9.95, you're gonna get an ass beating. I'm gonna send you to Neverland.
So you said it wasn't a big like one you liked as a kid, or
well, it's one of those ones that I think like passed me by. Like I never really watched it when I was a kid. I don't even remember. I might have heard about it, but like we didn't really go to the theaters. Like we watched like Jurassic Park and stuff, but like I think I was lucky enough that like when we went to the theaters, it was films that were like super huge. Like so we went to Jurassic Park. I specifically remember we went to all the Back to the Futures in the theater.
Home Alone?
Yes, Home Alone, Home Alone 2. And I remember I was pissed when there wasn't a third one. Like, and then of course there was, but it was straight to VHS or whatever. Turtles 1 and 2. And another one where like it pissed me off because there wasn't a third one in theaters, and then fucking they came out with the third one and it was shit. Trying to think of other films I saw in theaters that, like I was like, holy shit, this is awesome. Addams Family 1 and 2. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I said, we didn't go and see a lot of films in theaters. I'm sure there were more, but those are the ones that stick out in my mind because they're ones that now I'm like, these are classics, Mm-hmm. I think we saw like Mortal Kombat 1 in theaters. Maybe not. I want to think that we did, but that might have been I think that was our first DVD. Was As Good as It Gets and that.
Nice double feature.
As Good as It Gets was fucking awesome.
Mortal Kombat.
But yeah, I mean, and then it's funny because I watched it all the way through from what I remember, like probably 5 years ago, and then when it came up on the nominations, I was like, shit, I feel like I just watched this film. yeah. So that's my history with it. I'm sure. I think you said you watched it in theaters and fell asleep or something.
Yeah. So I probably told this before, but like we saw a lot of movies in theaters.
Yeah, I know your parents were like
huge movie
big
buffs, but
they were cinephiles.
Yeah, my dad was probably the most pumped for Hook of like any movie I can remember up to that point. Yeah, it's like Steven Spielberg's got a new movie. It's about Peter Pan. He grew up. It was like, oh, this is gonna be so great.
Yeah,
and we were in the theater, and I was so bored. I remember making the decision to go to like I curled up in my chair and went to sleep for a big portion of the movie. And my dad was pissed after this movie. He was like so disappointed.
He was pissed at you, not at the movie. Yeah. He's like, you fucking ruined Christmas.
So I really didn't like Hook from the get go, and I was the target audience as an 8-year-old in the theater. So
I don't know if that's true, honestly.
Well, yeah, that's a good point.
The more that we talk about this, the more I'm gonna start talking about why I don't think that's the case, which is kind of fucking weird. But not that like you have to be a kid to enjoy Peter Pan, because I know plenty of like adults that are big into like the classics like that, and that's totally cool. But the people that generally it was aimed at were like younger kids and stuff, especially the tale of Peter Pan and stuff. But I think it's funny. I told my dad, I was like, yeah, so this week Hook got nominated, and he was like, I was like, yeah, Steven Spielberg directed that, and he's just like, yeah, not good. That's all he said, and I was like,
we should have just did that.
And
that's the episode.
And I was like,
you said it better than anyone else.
I was like, shit, because like.
I know there are people that love this movie, though.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan nominated that, and that's totally awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I know there's a ton of people that like people will be like, Rufio and stuff, I don't know what it, I don't know what it is. The
Space Jam phenomenon.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, I guess that's why I understand it, because I actually like Space Jam. But having said that, I understand like the opposite side of that. At least Space Jam wasn't fucking 2 hours 50 minutes.
Oh my god,
it was 2 hours 24.
Why?
What was I gonna say? It was something. I'm sure I'll think about it. But
not good.
Yeah. So it was because right after this, he did fucking Jurassic Park, one of the greatest
right
films
before this,
fucking made.
He did Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Like those are.
It's like
those might be my two favorite Spielberg movies ever.
It was like an Oreo made with fucking shit.
I don't get it. Like it's just. It's a fail.
I say shit, but it's not like the worst fucking. Obviously.
No,
it's.
And I said last week, I said Hook blows.
Yeah.
It doesn't blow. It just kind of.
Yeah, I think like saying it sucks or
dies.
blows is definitely like an over exaggeration, but it's one of those things where
they should have
cut the fuck out of this film, like cut it the fuck out.
A lot of it was just botched.
You know what's funny is my favorite part of this is like anything to do with like the bad guys. So like Dustin Hoffman and Smee together. Dustin Hoffman and Bob Hoskins. Mm-hmm. I'm a huge Bob Hoskins mark, and I love Dustin Hoffman. And Robin Williams is awesome too, but guess what? He's playing fucking Peter Pan, and he's playing him like he's doing the same old fucking pratfalling bullshit.
Yeah,
it sucks because Robin Williams is awesome, and I like him in like other films. I like him in Jumanji and other stuff, but it's like here it's just.
It doesn't work for whatever reason. Like it sounds like a good idea on paper, but it's like there's no joy in this. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love the actual idea of that is pretty fucking genius.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, like what if Peter Pan left Neverland? Neverland and grew up, and then like that was a real thing. Mm-hmm. Like that's pretty freaking awesome.
But then you have to spend 2.5 hours watching like the characters in this movie try to figure out the premise that we all knew about.
Yeah,
it's like,
it's. I think I have a note here, like towards the end, where it's like at the end of towards the end of the film, like at 2 hours, and Peter Pan is finally in this movie as Peter Pan at 1 hour and 43 minutes into the fucking film.
Yeah, unacceptable. So I was thinking, like, this this movie's not Robin Williams' fault, obviously. Like,
yeah, I was gonna say it's
thinking,
nobody's fault, but I mean it's none of the actors' fault.
Yes, but could someone have done better?
It's nobody's fault.
It's somebody.
Yeah,
Probably many people.
It's could have been helped.
I was thinking who could have done a better job than Robin Williams, and I thought, think about this. What about
Samuel
a
Jackson?
1991 Kurt Russell?
I'm like, he can't grow. He can't grow tights.
I'm like, I think he could have pulled it off because like he has that boyish quality, but he is also like, you know what I mean? I don't know. I was just, something about Robin Williams doesn't quite click in this movie.
I think it's less Robin Williams and it's more so just like
the script.
Yeah, the stop-start of it all. It's like he's one of the only characters that isn't consistent. It's like there's scenes where like he's finally accepting it and then he's like doubting it, and it's like when that happens in films, I hate that. Like when we were watching, I forget what film we were watching, but one of the characters like, it was Risky Business, where Tom Cruise is like totally all about what he's gonna do, and then the next scene he's like doubting it, and it's like it seemed like it should have been a deleted scene, but they wanted to put it in because they liked the acting. You know, Tom Cruise is awesome. I agree, but like that was not needed. And I feel like that's the same here. There's a lot of stuff that's kind of a little too long in the tooth. I don't know. I guess we'll just get into from the beginning here. But like the Peter Pan play performance, they say that like the daughter is perfect, and then they show her acting horribly. I'm like, get the fuck out of here with that.
You're like, that's the biggest problem.
You're like, isn't she great? That's when you know you're fucked. She's like, isn't she wonderful? And Robin Williams is like, yeah, she's great. And then she's like being fed lines on stage and delivering them like shit. Like, fuck off with that, dude. Trying to feed me this bullshit straight out the gate.
You're like, this 5-year-old isn't the most greatest actor of all time.
She's just not serviceable, which is the only thing you need from someone that's being fed their fucking lines. I'm not saying it's her.
You would have been on the audience being like, boo!
Well, the thing is,
you suck,
I'm not saying the actor. I'm saying the acting of, like the choice for them to make that character act that shitty. That doesn't mean anything. Kevin McAllister could fucking act. Well, I mean, not Kevin McAllister.
All right, I didn't see that take coming.
It's not a take, it's the truth.
Fair enough.
And I'm not shitting on the actress. I'm shitting on like, why the hell did they make it seem like, why were they like, she's great, and then the next scene she's like shitting on stage. I'm like, okay,
Arnold style.
Don't feed me a sandwich and call it fucking great and it's shit. So we got Jingle All the Way shit right off the gate, even though that movie also came later, but he says my word is my bond, which he says all the time, but all that means is I'm about to fucking break my word.
You're my number one customer.
Yeah. It's like...
Yeah, this was such a trope in like the 90s and 80s of like,
the overworked,
he works too much and doesn't
pay
attention to his family. And like, oh, what a great lesson to learn. Like, never seen that before.
Right.
It's like the most cliched bullshit.
It's like they did that shit back in the, like, when film was first happening. Like, come on.
Yep.
We've got the Granny Wendy Memorial Museum. I'm like, why would they dedicate a museum and just call her Granny Wendy? They wouldn't use her full name. Like,
that's a great point, dude. I
thought that was weird.
That is.
Is it just so like...
It's like Granny Wendy. Mama.
It's like, they're like, oh, we don't want to say it's Wendy Darling, so we could give it away that she's like the... You're in a fucking movie called Hook. It's like they're trying to like act like it's a mystery, and it's like, come the fuck on. But I have to give a shout out though to Maggie Smith. I mean, she's always awesome.
Oh yeah, and I love like the idea of old Wendy meeting Peter Pan. Like it's like we said, it's a great idea.
Yeah. So we got the showdown with phones, Wild West style. This was fucking stupid.
It's laughably terrible.
It was like it was like this didn't, and it's like it had this weird like like little jingle that went with it, where it's like down, down, down. It's like the daytime. This was like soap opera shit.
I know, it's
what
so bad.
This?
It's like very amateurish.
Yeah.
For some reason.
And then like he's afraid of flying, which was kind of an
nice touch.
Yeah, interesting touch because it's Peter Pan and he's afraid of flying. So,
you skipped over the most outrageous problem with this movie. They're playing baseball in the winter over Christmas. His little league is playing baseball at Christmas. It's like the Santa series, winter baseball.
Oh yeah, because I have a thing that says he missed the game.
That's not a thing, dude. Like, it's just shoehorned in to like give the kids something to like.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, honestly.
Maybe they play winter baseball in California. I don't know, but
I couldn't even tell where they were at first because the only external shot
did they say
is fucking like the baseball game, and then they're instantly on a flight to like England. It's like
Santa series.
I'm like
winter baseball.
Santa series
because everyone plays their best baseball on Christmas Eve.
Like, feed my fish. Not too much. I'm off to London, England.
Nice.
So I've seen this movie. Like I think this is my second or third time watching it, and I didn't realize this till I was kind of just not really paying attention when they were on the plane. But when they first are on the plane and they're kind of getting ready and stuff, Dustin Hoffman is like the pilot.
What?
Yeah.
I totally missed that.
As Hook or whatever.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was like, see, I liked that. The beginning of this film, I was like, I really liked some of the stuff where it was like, it's leading up to like, in the mystery and like the scariness of like, when it's kind of like shown like Hook and all this kind of stuff. Like, dude, this is fucking
when they
legit.
see the hook marks and the
yeah,
I love that. It's
and like
scary as hell.
And like I thought that was really really cool. I thought this was just fucked up just in general, but like his son Jack drew a plane fucking crashing.
That's funny.
And like obviously Robin Williams doesn't have a parachute, but like he's like, why don't I have a parachute? I'm like, fuck that. Why did your child draw a fucking plane crashing? I
thought that was funny.
It's like, he insane? Or not, is
a psycho.
He insane. Is he insane? Kids were... I don't know. I didn't write a lot of notes for a while because I was just like, fuck. But like, the kids were stolen. I don't know if I glossed over any of your notes up to this point.
But that brings up a thing like... Steven Spielberg, like in almost every movie, he uses kids in jeopardy, which is fine, but like it becomes like a crutch almost because like it just adds extra manipulation to the audience to like have a kid being, "Mommy, I want my mommy," and it's like this movie doesn't earn
like how old are your kids?
Yeah, but this movie doesn't earn like that kind of like emotional,
especially because. To me, the kids were not likable for the most part at the beginning of the film.
The little kid needs to be smacked.
Yeah, I was like, Jack is an asshole.
Yeah.
And this other girl has no character development other than she's an actress. It's like, what?
So, also, Jack is super dumb. Yeah. Because listen to this. Robin Williams told him to stay away from the open window 100 times. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. Also, like... What the hell are you talking about?
I would think after like the third or fourth time.
100 times. Also, it's like, why... I don't know. Robin Williams is like obsessed with windows, apparently. I like how this note just says, Robin is.
Nice.
Robin Williams.
Robin is Williams.
Robin is Williams getting drunk. Apparently I was getting drunk. But they have, like, the Granny Wendy Memorial Hospital dinner, and, like, they're talking about, like, he's like, we don't have anything in common. What? And then fucking, he's like, they all stand up, and, like, he's like, actually, I guess we do. We're orphans. I'm like, was this part of the speech, or what? Because fucking no shit, they're all orphans. Granny Wendy, that's her. That's the reason why she's
the entire purpose of...
Yeah. It's like, you fucking dumbass. That was the problem, is like Robin Williams' character, Peter Pan, is like the dumbest piece of shit. Like he's supposed to be like, the character that like you go into the film and like, you know, I guess you were supposed to identify with this guy so that like he, you know, like in movies where like Luke is the guy that like you identify with, so that when all this fantastical shit happens, you have a place to root yourself. But like the audience, even at its base level, is like smarter than this.
Exactly.
Character. So it's like
this movie
dumb.
thinks the audience is dumb.
Yeah, and it's like kids that are watching it are smarter than this.
Yeah.
They're like, kids aren't stupid. Like it's like, you know, for the most part, they understand stuff. So it's like, you know, unless it's like you're showing this film to like a 6-month-old, but at that point, who's fucking showing their kids Hook at 6 months old? Like, you know,
that leads into Roger Ebert's review because him and Siskel were both like thumbs down on this.
Yeah.
But what he said that I think says it better than almost anyone except your dad was this movie. It tells you what it's gonna do.
Yeah.
It does it. Then it tells you that it just did it. It's like, dude, we get it.
Yeah.
Why is it 2 hours and 20 minutes long?
It sucks because it was like almost like the movie was made nowadays, because a lot of films nowadays do this where they'll like tell you something and then they'll do it, and it's like,
and then tell you what they just did. It's like, I know, we just saw it.
It's like, not only did you tell, you also showed, and then you told again.
Yep.
It's like, okay, so you broke all the rules. So Firefly from Hell, Julia Roberts as Tinkerbell. What do you think about this dog shit?
I remember she was criticized at the time.
I think she was criticized because a lot of people that worked on the film said she was like hard to work with.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because she was at like the height of her stardom back then.
And like she was going to get married to Kiefer Sutherland, and then like things broke off and she like ran away to like another country for a while, and Steven Spielberg was going ape shit about it because she was holding up production.
He was like,
yeah, he was like,
I thought she's fine in this.
Yeah.
Like,
I think the character was kind of annoying, but
Yes.
that's not. I think that's just Tinkerbell's kind of a brat.
yeah, and I think that they kind of tried to shoehorn in a bit of a romance, and it doesn't quite work. So that's fine.
I know that like in the cartoon, there's kind of like something like that, where like she's more so jealous of like of Wendy, but like that gets kind of fucking weird when it's like turns a little more so than just a childish like crush. It becomes like she wants to like be with a grown Peter Pan when he has like the mental capacity at the time of like a child, and she's an adult, and like she's like, I've always loved you, Peter Pan, and he's just like, he just can't comprehend it. It's like you're like watching a young child possibly being taken advantage of, and it's just it's fucking weird all around. It's also like this comes after like he's been a married man, has kids for all these years, so like
that's why it's just kind of a little bit weird.
It's like homewrecker.
So I missed the Dustin Hoffman cameo, but you missed. Did you see who the chief inspector was? Who's like
Phil Collins?
Yeah. I was like, dude.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
He should have been in way more movies.
He should have. Yeah. He was in that. He was in that his music video with Ultimate Warrior.
What?
Where they're like dancing or whatever.
I've never seen
they're
that.
Fighting and shit.
Nice.
So let's see here. So Tinkerbell tells like Peter Pan, Robin Williams, to get down and hide, and I'm like, why the fuck did you drop him off in a pirate stronghold then? If you're like, you know, because he just woke up and then he's like walking around, he doesn't know where the fuck he is. You know, why would he think that he was in a dangerous place? And she's like, get down if you don't want to die. And I'm like, why the hell did you instantly
Strategic
take him?
error.
Yeah, take him to hell. So 38 minutes in, we get one of the best things about this film. Bob Hoskins as Smee. He's awesome.
He's great.
Should
have been the whole movie.
Yeah, just the two
Hook,
of them.
The Rise of Smee.
Show us the hook. Give us the hook. I'm like, can't you just see it? It's like right there. Also, why would they want to be
big ass deal about that hook?
Why would they want to be given the hook? Like when he's got the hook and he would fucking kill them. What the hell does that mean?
Good point.
Show us the hook. Kill us. It's like, why? It was a cool thing though, because it's like you said, they make a big deal leading up to finally unveiling it, and when he like this part makes no sense, but it's cool for the show or for the movie. But, like, when it gets put on, like, for some reason sparks and shit fly out of nowhere. But, like, you just see, like, the hook.
Yeah.
And then, like...
Which is awesome. I think that was, like, the teaser trailer or whatever. It was, like, zzz, and you're like, my mind is going to be blown by Hook.
Probably why your dad was, like, fucking blown away. But Dustin Hoffman as Captain Hook, you know, fucking awesome. I don't know.
I agree.
Those two were, like, by far the part of the movie that's worth watching it for if you're going to watch it, you know.
Yep.
Because I remember that they were in this film, and I was like, okay, this will be the part that I like the most, and I was right, because it was fun.
Yeah, I mean,
on screen.
This was just a couple years after Rain Man, and if you, like, contrast Rain Man with Hook, it's like, now that's a great actor.
Yeah.
Totally unrecognizable.
That and, like, Bob Hoskins with Eddie Valiant, and it's like... Yeah, it sucks.
Bob Hoskins could have been a better Peter Pan.
Yeah.
Seriously.
They should have, that part where, like, that kid rolls down the thing, that should have been Bob Hoskins. He's just like a hedgehog, and he's so hairy.
Yeah.
He's like, whoa! Yeah. So, they say, like, there's a part where, like, this guy's like, he's like, one of you did not believe me. Who was it? It was you, no you, and he's like, puts him in the boo box, and I guess that's like a big deal about this. And I had to look up what this was, because they don't, from what I saw that explain what the fuck it is, it's like a box they put him in with a scorpion.
Yeah.
But did they explain it in the film?
No, I mean, that's all, it's like,
which is
you're
fine.
dead, like, you're done. Seriously.
I know, but it's like, you're dead.
Also, that pirate was Glenn Close.
Yeah.
Which is very weird. I don't quite understand that, but I remember that disturbed me as a kid when that happened in this movie. I was like,
you know,
Lord, man.
There was something else like that in another movie where they put a guy's head in a bag and they put a rat in it. And I can't remember what movie it was, but that disturbed me as well.
Yeah, but I think it's mainly Glenn Close's reaction. She was like, no.
She's like, no.
Like, good Lord, man.
Peter Pan's a cuck and he can't save his kids.
That's an upsetting scene. That's, like I said, like, this movie doesn't...
It's pretty, like, horrifying. Well, not horrifying,
it's
but
like,
it's,
save
like,
us, save us,
scary.
Dad, save us. And he can't save his kids.
And his, like, daughter's like, Mommy could do it. And he's less... Because he's, like, horrified of heights, so he's, like... And it's, like...
Yep.
That's, like, the low point of this film. Well, no, it's not. You looked over at me like I just committed a murder. You were like...
Stared daggers at you.
Yeah.
What'd you think of the pirate set?
It was fucking awesome.
I thought so too,
Yeah.
and that's one thing that Roger Ebert criticized, and I was like, dude, what are you talking about? It's pretty cool.
What'd he say?
He said it's just too cluttered and, like, filled with crap, and I'm like, that's kind of the whole
It's
point.
a fucking pirate,
Yeah.
like, set, like...
And
or
especially
not a pirate, it's a pirate, like...
It would have been all CGI today and, like, an animated film, basically, and, like, it's cool that they would build giant sets like that back in the day.
That's where all the budget went, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But, like, I guess he's just never seen, like, a shipyard. There's,
he was like
ropes and shit all over the place.
Like, Neverland should have been green and blue, but they made it orange and brown. I was like,
what? There was plenty of green where the Lost Boys lived, and, like, you know, like, what the fuck is he talking about? Maybe he wasn't watching the movie. He was, like, high or something. Or I guess he would still be watching the movie. I'm like, he wasn't watching the movie.
I'm high.
I was high. He's like, I should have watched fucking Hook, but then I got high. So Hook says, kill them all. And then they're like,
I like that there are some stakes.
Fucking kids.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude. But then Tinkerbell does one of the only good things she's ever done in her life, and, like, essentially parlays a deal with him. It's like, hey, do you want to be, like, the guy that just killed people that are defenseless, or do you want an actual contest? And he's like, you're right. Which was stupid on his part, but like, it makes sense for the character because he's always about that. I'm like, but then mermaids save Peter Pan and he gets, like, kissed a bunch. So this part I didn't.
I'm sure there's no fan art on the internet related to that scene
with Captain Hook. He's like, oh. So Tinkerbell says, "Oh, you're alive," and I was like, "So you were just gonna like let him die after going to all the trouble of setting up that thing and like just thinking he was gonna drown?" That's a line of this is funny for the movie, convenience, not because it made any fucking sense. Mm-hmm. Like, fuck off, Steven Spielberg.
Or they could put it in the trailer,
right? So they meet up with the Lost Boys, and this is when the movie goes off the rails.
Totally.
And shits the bed.
Siskel and Ebert said it, like, that part is a disaster. And
yeah.
I had it written down already.
Disaster.
It's a total disaster what happens with these Lost Boys.
The sad part about this is that, like, they've had groups of kids before in movies, and they've been totally fine. Like,
the kids from E.T.,
yeah,
directed by Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, Mighty
Amazing.
Ducks.
Well, yeah.
That's like those are only a couple kids, but like a whole crew. Like Mighty Ducks, they've got like a whole team of kids. Like Bad News Bears. Like there's been, I'm probably not thinking of all of them. I'm like, no, I am, but I won't tell.
This is like some lower level sitcom, like terrible crap. It's bad.
It's like, yeah.
But Rufio is kind of cool.
Yeah, I have a thing here, like,
fuck Rufio.
My thoughts on Rufio is like,
he's a cool looking kid.
He had like a great look.
Oh yeah.
And I have to give a shout out to like the actor because he like did the voice for like Zuko in Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, so he went on.
He's cool. Like,
yeah,
it's a cool kid.
And sure. Like, I like the idea of someone taking over and like, but they like bury the fuck out of this character so much by making him an asshole. He's like, I don't know who's more unlikable as a kid, him or fucking Jack. So it's like he's got essentially two sons that are fucking assholes to him.
Yep.
And like Rufio, I understand maybe he's a little like he's jealous and stuff, but like they go with it for so long, and like they even have a scene later on in the film where like after he's proven that he's Peter Pan and he's flown, everybody moves behind Peter Pan and he's by himself, and they make him literally get on his fucking knees.
What were they thinking?
And I'm like, dude, this guy could have been awesome. They could have like made him like the guy that reluctantly like trains Peter Pan and given him more screen time and like been like his like partner or second in command kind of thing. Like he should have had more screen time as like the version of himself that they should have done, but instead he was just an asshole. And yeah, I think this character, it's kind of like Boba Fett. Like he looks cool, but there's not really much there, at least at the beginning, you know. Like I just have nonsense occurs.
Yeah, to me that's the low point of this movie. I'm just like, dude, we're an hour into this and I have to watch these little assholes skateboard around for 20 minutes.
These little fucking assholes.
It's like, this is horrible. And then they have there's a minute where a kid is like, you are Peter. And I'm like, we know!
Yeah, the guy where
we know!
The guy's like touching his face.
Yeah. Then they have like the insult off where they call each other childish names. And I'm like, that's the low point of this movie. It's like, I hated it when I was 8.
Yeah.
I hate it now that I'm 40. It's embarrassingly awful.
Yeah.
Movie ruined.
Yeah, I don't really have much more to say about that part. Because it comes back multiple times. But then we've got one of the best scenes of the movie where Hook tries to commit suicide. So Hook is holding a pistol to his head because he's like, Smee's like, do you want anything to eat? And he's like, my life is over. And he's just like, so you're not going to eat anything? He's like, no, I'm fine. And then he's like, just holding a pistol to his head. And he's like, no stopping me this time, Smee. This is it. Don't make a move, Smee. Not a step. My finger's on the trigger. Don't try to stop me, Smee. And he's like, not again. Like, it's, he's tried to, like, commit suicide again. And he's like, this is it. Don't try to stop me this time, Smee. Don't try to stop me this time, Smee. Don't you dare try to stop me this time, Smee. Try to stop me, Smee. You better get up off your ass. Get over here, Smee. And he's like, I'm coming. He's like, stop me. This is not a joke. I am committing suicide. And then he like shoots the air and he's like, don't ever frighten me like that again. And he's like, I'm sorry. And then Captain Hook says, what are you, some kind of sadist? And he's like, I'm sorry. How do you feel now? And he's like, I want to die.
If the whole movie would have been like that scene,
yes,
we'd be talking classic.
And then he says at the very end of all this, he says, death is the only adventure I have left, Smee.
Great line.
Yeah, because he's been in there forever, and he's like, how old is this guy? It's
literally Neverland.
Yeah, he's like a vampire. He's essentially like, he went in there when he was the same age he is now, essentially, and he's just, you don't age, so he's just, I mean, I can't even imagine when he went in, but he's been there for fucking ever. I'm tired of killing Indians and Lost Boys. And then Smee says, I've had an apostrophe. I think you mean an epiphany. Lightning has just struck my brain. Well, that must hurt. It's like any time
did the same person write that dialogue that like wrote the rest of the movie?
Absolutely fucking not.
Like, come on.
Yeah,
that's great stuff.
I'm pretty sure that had something to do with the two of them fucking around. I like his... this should have been one of the taglines of the film, Abso-flogging-lutely. I don't know what this means. Tries getting. Yeah, eating fake food scene.
Delete that scene.
Young girl that was horrible in her play that had her parents lie to themselves about her shitty acting sings in The Pirate's Sigh.
So, I guess that song was nominated for an Oscar.
What?
Yeah.
Why?
It
sounds like shit.
I know, it's bad. I guess things must have been dire in 1991 that's Oscar worthy of Oscar gold.
Oh my god. Well,
I thought the same thing when I saw that. I was like,
yeah.
What?
It's like, how hard up do you have to be as a pirate to hear this screeching shit and be like, ugh, this is great. It's like, and like, yeah, one of them sighs and I'm like, fire this fucking man. Like, this is dog shit.
Did you notice the part where Captain Hook is smoking a double stogies?
No.
Dude, he has like a cigarette holder.
Yeah.
And it branches out and there's 2 cigars. And he's smoking 2 cigars. I was like, that's an awesome touch.
Oh my god.
There's like 2 little stogies in there.
Yeah, he's got like all these different, I mean, I guess that's what you would do. It's kind of like Ash from Evil Dead. You would have, before you got the new hand, you would screw on different things. And I guess that's what you would do. I mean, today, like, they have prosthetics that you could, like, actually do stuff with. But, so we've got a baseball game here, and they infiltrate the Pirates baseball game. Bob Hoskins is doing some funny pitching. He's like doing the Donkey Kong wind up, and then he's like, just kidding. Barely throws it.
That's fun.
They have a thing where one of the pirates goes to steal a base, and then they kill him.
Yep.
And Captain Hook's like, bad form. It's like any of this stuff is great, like with the pirates and like with,
I had a big laugh with that.
Yeah.
When they killed that dude.
It's like
stealing a base.
Yeah, I think the funny thing is, like, I think they thought that people were going to think that, like, the kids stuff was funny and the pirate stuff was going to be, like, okay and, like, not as entertaining. But it's, like, the best part of the film. So it's, like, when Peter Pan wins in the end, you're like, this is bullshit. Like, at least I was. I was like, fuck.
At least they killed the hell out of Rufio.
That I have a thing about that.
All right.
So Peter Pan goes into his fucking backstory, and this is like, what the fuck is this? This is like 20 minutes of something nobody needed to hear. This was like, prequel shit, like, like Peter Pan became Peter Pan. It's like,
once again, we know.
Nobody needs to know this. This is like when they did the whole Darth Vader becomes Darth Vader shit. Oz the Great and Powerful.
But I wanted to see if he won the pod race.
The Hobbit trilogy, Hannibal Rising, X-Men Wolverine's Origins, The Thing, the 2011 version, Exorcist the Beginning. Like, when the fuck has any of that been any good? We don't need to know this shit. And it's like, This went on for so long. This was like 20 or 25 minutes of fucking Robin Williams talking about how, like, he was in a stroller and, like, he was able to comprehend that he ran away because he didn't want to grow up because everybody who grows up has to die someday. As a fucking child, he's like a baby.
The baby genius.
I would say bullshit, but as we all know, Baby Bink outsmarted 3 good men on his day out.
Nice.
But that was just ridiculous.
On his day out.
You know what I'm talking about, though? It's just, like, ridiculous.
That's
like,
stupid.
Again,
delete that scene.
This is even more stupid. He went back to his fucking house and he says, oh, it was shut. They'd forgotten about me. I'm like, in the dead of winter with a baby, they were supposed to keep it open for a child they didn't know was still alive to return through the window. Are you fucking mental? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Peter Pan creeping into rooms. Gwyneth Paltrow's young Wendy.
Yeah.
Wanted to grow up. He said he wanted to grow up so he could be a father? What the fuck is he on about?
That's something.
It is, but it's like, how would he know that or even think about it when he's Peter Pan? Like, what the fuck? Thoughts on Robin Williams in Peter Pan cosplay?
It just doesn't quite work.
A grown man in fucking Peter Pan cosplay. It just looks weird.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to cosplay as Peter Pan and you're a grown man, that's fine. But like,
remember that little Lord Fauntleroy dude?
Yeah, he reminded me of the fucking, like, Skittles commercial guy where he's like, berries and cream. I'm a little lad that loves berries and cream. It's like, dude, come on. I said, needless to say, I'd be surprised if anything was cut from this film. If there's a version of this film that has deleted scenes, I would fucking be very surprised.
I know. They threw in everything.
Robin Williams was gagging himself thermometer style for no reason other than to make people laugh, which nobody was laughing. It was like, it's like if you didn't think the character was stupid before, he like somehow regresses to being like a child Peter Pan in Robin Williams' body, and he's talking to like Tinkerbell, and he's like he's doing his fucking child shtick, and it's like, dude, this is stupid. Like,
not good.
Weird sexual tensions with Tinkerbell. She's essentially kissing a child. Tinkerbell calls Peter Pan a silly ass, which is kind of weird for her to say to a child. Robin Williams happy. Thought it was his son, not his daughter. Yeah, like he was happy. His happy thought was his son, not his daughter. Like, what a fucking asshole, dude. Wacky Home Alone antics. Kid rolls himself into a ball, and we talked about that. This is like the pirate fight, where it's like the kids are somehow able to beat the fucking pirates.
Yeah, it's like Ewok style. I always hate that in movies.
More horrible acting from this girl. Pirates surrender to fucking kids. So this is my thing about Rufio. I think they like missed an opportunity to build this character up. He had the look, the lines. But they had him act like an asshole up until the last 5 minutes. He's on screen. Then he dies for no reason. Seconds later, they're cracking jokes. And Peter Pan was going to leave right after his death, giving zero reason for this character to die. Like, he wasn't a reason for Peter Pan to fight Hook. So what the fuck was the point of this character? Like,
so they could sell Rufio action figures.
Yeah, exactly. You nailed it on the head.
But I forgot that he... Look, turns him into slunk meat, basically. Like, at least this movie had the guts to kill Rufio. Like, that's something.
No, it's not.
It doesn't mean any... Like you said, there's no meaning to it, but it's like...
That doesn't take guts if it has no meaning.
Yeah, but you wouldn't see that today. You wouldn't see a little kid getting run through.
That's true, but I don't... Yeah, I guess it really just depends on who's writing the film as far as not killing, but who's making the characters. Because I'm sure there's a couple films out there that have made characters like Rufio that weren't total fucking wastes. I don't care if they fucking kill a kid if... Okay. I don't want any kids to be killed, and I don't think Rufio really deserved it. but it was like one of those things that like, what was it even for? Like, he was, when you compare his screen time to like the character he was kind of supposed to be, it's like fucking non-existent. He's in like 3 scenes. So like, what's the point of this shit? You know what I mean? Like, a kid's film through and through. The hero doesn't kill him; he kills himself.
Yep.
Hook given plenty of time to move. It's like Prometheus over here. And then he just disappears in the crocodile, and it like burps. I think
when the crocodile like kind of moved around,
yeah.
I was like, dude, that's awesome looking.
Yeah, but then it's like dead.
Yeah,
it's like what? Rufio is dead. Kid says that was a great game. Okay. Fucking Rufio's dead. That was great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
okay.
Great time.
Yeah. That's like
our leader just got stabbed to death.
Felix Leiter getting all of his limbs ripped off, and he's like, "Great adventure, James. My wife was raped and murdered. What a great adventure."
So who is the better hook-handed character, Hook or Major Charles Rain from Rolling Thunder? See our previous episode.
I know, right? Yeah, I don't know. If
Hook had a
standalone film, I'd probably say him because Dustin Hoffman was badass in this. Thank you for believing. ADR as they're leaving. Mommy, Mom. Bob Hoskins as street sweeper. Mm-hmm. Hello, trouble with Mrs. You will be by the time you get home. Okay. What did I tell you about this window? Always keep it open. Fucking lies. Come on. Dude, this is the kind of shit that pisses me off.
Yeah, it's not good.
I don't got any other notes about the actual fucking film. I got some fucking...
My last note is Drag City. This just dragged so long, man.
It's like Lord of the Rings extended edition with like the 50 endings. Mm-hmm. But at least that film had like something happening in it at one point.
Yep.
Yeah. So we got. I'll do a couple of trivia things here. Bob Hoskins would alleviate stress on set by singing various versions of Lionel Richie hit "Hello" by including the lyrics "Hello, is it Smee?" or whatever.
Dude, better movie.
Yeah. The kissing couple on the bridge who began to float was George Lucas and Carrie Fisher in a cameo.
What?
Yeah. I was shocked about this. This was like how good makeup can be, and they don't really do it as much anymore. But they do in some things. It just depends. But like it's kind of like with Back to the Future, like the aged makeup. Maggie Smith was only 56, and she's like aged up to be 92, and now she's like around that age. So it's like,
you know what had great old age makeup was Prometheus. Guy Pearce. No. It wasn't completely terrible.
Yeah, it didn't make him look like a fucking monster.
That was so bad.
Gutless, you already talked about that. Glenn Close. Pros, Bob Hoskins and Dustin Hoffman as Smee and Captain Hook. I like the premise, what would happen if Peter Pan grew up.
Yep. They almost make the movie worth watching,
yeah.
But it's not.
Yeah.
It's totally not.
If you go on YouTube and just watch like their scenes, that's fucking worth it, but that's it.
It'll save a lot of misery.
Length is a con. Cut an hour out of this. It was 2 hours and 15 minutes, not counting credits. That's way too long for what is essentially supposed to be a family film.
Yep. Agreed.
Lost Boys was a con. Giving Peter Pan a backstory was a fucking con. Mm-hmm. Watch the fucking film. That was a con.
I don't know, want to hear something sad about the state of things then versus now?
I love it.
I was lying. This is my favorite movie.
You're like 9.95.
So this movie came out the same weekend as Last Boy Scout. See our previous episode.
Oh yeah.
And Star Trek VI: The Undiscovered Country.
Last Boy Scout. This movie looks like fucking it was made in like the 80s.
You know what came out this weekend? Big 4th of July.
Hook 2.
Minions: The Rise of Gru. And nothing else. That's the only movie that came out this week.
I'd still rather watch Minions: The Rise of Gru than this film.
I don't know.
Depending on the length.
But that's
but not
sad.
The girth.
That's sad.
Yeah.
Like movies are slunk meat at this point.
I think right now I think it's because they're making up for
the pandemic.
Yeah. I don't think it's anything to do with that. Because the thing is, like, if you look, there's a lot of films that are just now coming out that were made during the pandemic, and almost all of them are like even the big studio ones look like they were made in like an indie thing, because it's like all shot indoors. It's like 2 people. It's like, which is fine, but it's like, okay, this is not like Independence Day over here. This isn't a blockbuster.
Yep.
This is a cockbuster.
But at least Gru is rising.
That's true. 2022, Gru will rise. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'd rather see that or not. But I think I was just saying that because the length. If Minions: The Rise of Gru was an hour, I'd watch it over this. But if it was like longer, I'd probably not.
I'd rather take a nap, and I did in the theater.
I like how you decided to, like you weren't going to, but then you did. It's like as a child you were like Peter Pan. You were like advanced somehow.
I made the decision.
You didn't just fall asleep like kids do. You made the decision. So what would you give this?
I'm gonna go 3.95.
Nice. I'll probably give it like a 6.95.
All right. Middling.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's not like, as much as like, we talk shit about it, it's not like, it didn't like piss me off, but it also didn't like
it's like
inspire me.
We're not mad, we're disappointed.
Yeah.
Because there's something here that like this could have been a great movie.
Yeah.
And they failed.
Yeah. At least I think that's like a mid-range rank. I might have to reevaluate it, but it's not a mid-range.
You're like actually 0.
I have to try to keep everything above certain ones I've done before that I didn't like as much.
Fair enough.
I don't remember what I gave. I think I was giving out way too many high ranks before, because I gave like I can't remember what I gave Kong versus Godzilla, but I don't know if we were doing them then. Yeah, not the worst fucking film I've seen on this podcast, but it's just kind of like, it sucks because like if Dustin Hoffman and Bob Hoskins weren't in this film, I would have been like, dude, fuck this film completely.
There's nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they give me enough to kind of, and there's some stuff in the beginning that was good, but okay, so next week for Mike Week, do you know what it is?
Nope. Bring it on.
Okay. So I told Matt that I was going to try to
hook 2.
The hooking. I was going to try to redeem things, and I guess the audience and you will be the judge of that. But
find out.
So this is another Bob Hoskins film. We're going on a 3-peat for Bob Hoskins.
Whoa!
Do you know what this is?
No.
Okay. This is the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Dude!
And for Weird Watches, we're going to watch the first episode of the Super Mario Brothers Super Show.
Sweet.
With Lou Albano and...
nice.
I forget who the guy is that played Luigi, but he was like super skinny.
I can't wait. I told you I've been wanting to rewatch this one.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
I was able to get my hands on the Blu-ray from like Umbrella that has like the documentary.
Dude.
So I'm gonna like write as many notes about that as I can to talk about behind the scenes stuff, because I wanted to watch it forever, because it's got like pretty much everybody has stuff about it, like John Leguizamo, Bob Hoskins, what's his name, the guy that played Koopa? Dennis Hopper. There's like interviews, even if it's archive stuff. So
cool. That's awesome, man.
Yeah,
looking forward to it.
Bob Hoskins calls it the worst film he's ever done. I don't know if he was awake
we'll be the
while
judge
he was in this film.
Yeah.
But
did you forget about Hook?
Yeah. But I guess we'll see. But I guess until next time, guys. Thanks for watching. Every episode is up on YouTube. Steak Beaumont 64. They're up every Monday. Check us out on Twitch and Instagram. It's for Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram. And yeah, do you have anything else to say about what you said?
Until next time, I just have one thing to say.
What is it?
Bye.